Recorded live from Studio 12A in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. You're listening to the Josh and Friends Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends Podcast. I am your host. My name is Josh. And welcome to week 400 of the 2020 quarantine. It's really starting to feel like it's that long. I don't know if it is. Does anybody know what day it is? I don't know. Anyway, so the virus has kind of sped up something that I wanted to hold off on as long as I possibly could, and that was doing phone interviews. So I don't think that's really an option as of now. I think we're going to have to start doing these phone interviews, start picking up the pace here. But my next guest is someone I originally had booked about a month ago, and he's somebody I met while working at probably the most wild place I've ever seen. It's really like a zoo. We initially connected over, go figure, a podcast, and that became one of the main factors of us staying in touch all these years. He is a man of many passions, including golf, soccer, and the Fighting Irish. And yet somehow I still like this guy. But it is my pleasure to introduce to the show the wild goofball himself, my crazy pal, Mr. Steve Klunk. All right, Steve. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you finally on the show. How you been, man?
It's been a long time coming. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a little nervous. I've been pretty good.
No need to be nervous, man. You could just sit back, relax, ease the seed back.
And just for some of your listeners who don't enjoy swear words, I want to say shit, piss, cocksucker, motherfucker, ball.
Exactly. There's been some people that have been offended apparently by the real talk of human beings. How they talk in normal life. Man, it's been a while since I've seen you. I still haven't seen you. I think it's been Christmas of 2018 or something. When was the last time I've seen you in person?
It was a long time ago.
It's been too long.
You came over here, right?
Well, this was going to be our nice reunion of, meeting up, but then the coronavirus happened here, and things got a little out of whack. So how's the wife? How's the wife doing? Amanda?
She's good. She's good.
Yeah?
For her business as usual, because she's a healthcare worker, so she's same as always, 8:30 to 5. She's through Friday. It's going good. I mean, It's nice that we don't have to take it, as far as everyone with money thing.
Yeah, Jesus.
That whole money thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, money? What's that? No, but I've always loved the dynamic between you two. Like, it kind of reminds me of. It always kind of reminds me of, like King of Queens. Like when you guys would say, like you'd always say something like completely ridiculous, and then she would like look at you and just roll her eyes.
I'm the big fat fuck, right?
Well, you're definitely the jokester, and she kind of like plays the straight gal, and she kind of looks at you and just rolls her eyes and like, and then walks away. so funny.
I'd say that sums it up pretty well.
I remember when you were giving me a tour of the house when you first moved in there, and you got to the master bedroom and you point to the bed and you go like you're like, that's where all the magic happens, and I'm like, yeah, and then without hesitation you point over to the dog bed in the corner and you're like, and that's where Amanda sleeps. I just remember laughing so hard. It was like awesome. I was like, I'm not expecting this, like. But yeah, so that's Steve in a nutshell right there. So yeah, it was great having you on the show. No, just joking. So Steve, how's the artificial grass holding up in the back?
It's doing okay, but I'm telling you, because we didn't have it installed, but this is a spec home, so it was installed before we came.
Yeah.
I think it's got like drainage issues because when it gets going, it's when it gets hotter and hotter. My dog's out there peeing on it all the time. It stinks sometimes. I've bought all kinds of different stuff and I spray it on. Like it works for a week or two, and then it's like, now my backyard just rinks like pee again.
We're gonna have to. You keep saying every time I take a picture in my backyard, you're like, looks like you still need to have me come over and help you with the grass installation over there. It's
definitely got to do it.
I know. It's definitely on my list of things to do here. So, now, so you were talking about how Amanda works in, what is she? She's a nurse, right? What kind of nurse is she?
No, she does, she's an ultrasound tech. So
oh, really? Okay.
Ultrasounds and biopsies and that kind of stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So, and then you work in the alcohol business, correct?
That's right.
So
yes, sir.
You guys have very important jobs right now. You guys are have some of the most important jobs there are. So like, so what is your job exactly? So what is the description of your job?
I'm a sales rep for a distributor, because they kind of have the 3-tier system here, to where retailers can't sell booze directly through a distributor. So I'm a salesperson representing certain brands in retail chains. So I go into Fry's, Safeway, Albertsons, Walmart, Winco, and try to sell them my brands to put on the floor. So,
now, have you seen an increase in sales?
Not really.
No.
I mean, I've noticed like a slight uptick, but I've heard some stats like that. Alcohol sales are up 30%.
That's what I was actually going to say that. That's what I heard too. It's pretty nuts. Have you been drinking more, or have you been drinking less?
It'd be kind of hard for me to drink more, so I think I'd be about the same.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think my brother said he's been drinking more. I've been drinking less. Like, I mean, you know, what's the end game for me? Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to go to the bar? Am I going to have people over? No. So I'll have some drinks, and then I'll be like, all right, well, time to go to sleep. I don't know what else I'm going to do here. So I guess I'll just go to sleep. It should be just as fun as not drinking. I don't know.
It's kind of what I did last night. I was like, all right, I'm drinking. Yeah. I'm pretty drunk. And I'm like, nothing to do. Well, some of that.
At least you have a wife, though. But you guys are working different hours and stuff right now, right? Or what? Are you guys working different hours?
Yeah, because I work overnight now. I don't know why. I'm stupid at this point because I don't see my buyers that much, but it is what it is. They made it mandatory, so I work from like 9 to 2:30.
9 to 2:30 reverse.
2:30 a.m. Yeah.
So how you liking that? How you liking that shift?
I mean, it's kind of weird, but you know, it was that, or I could have worked like some people are working 2 a.m. to 7 or something like that.
Right.
I'm just kind of like, what time do you go to bed to wake up at 2 a.m.? I'm like, I'll just stay up.
Man,
my thoughts on it.
Well, you know, you have you have an important job, so keep up the great work. We need that alcohol coming in. We need that alcohol. So you were actually one of my big supporters in me starting a podcast. I remember you said it for years, actually. You and Lee. I remember that. And like the three of us, I know you, me, and Lee, we're actually huge Adam Carolla fans, which is how you and how we initially met or bonded. I remember that moment when, I don't know, you were talking to your buddy. I'm not sure who you're talking to, but you were talking to somebody about something, and you're bringing up a point. I don't know what it was. I was walking by, and you said something in code, like, you know, one of Carolla's many moments that he talks about on the radio. And
yeah, I remember that moment. I remember you just popped up.
Yeah,
you were looking at me like,
well, it's like one of those.
What you know. And I was like,
yeah, because like I remember I was walking, and I was walking out right out the door, and then I stopped, and I walked back, and I go, dude, that's Adam Carolla, and you're like, yeah, but it's right, like whatever you're talking about. You're like, yeah, but it's right, and I go, yeah, I mean I agree, yeah. So
and it was on from there, because honestly, you were the first person, because I've been I was listening to that show for years at that point.
Yeah.
And you're the first person that I got to really delve in. Like, you know, he has the most widely listened to podcast, and I knew nobody to listen to it. And I'm like,
yeah, right?
This guy was cool.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
An hour and a half every day.
Well, and just to back up for people that don't know, like if they're not very familiar with Adam Carolla, he has one of the biggest podcasts on the planet, like you mentioned, former co-host of Comedy Central's The Man Show. I first started listening to him on Loveline back in like the 90s. And then he also did, remember the Hammer? Oh, that was good. You like the Hammer?
There you go.
Good stuff right there.
I did like that. You let me borrow.
Yeah. I was like, you watched that? You're like, no, I haven't gotten to it yet. And I'm like, you've had it for like months now.
There's a guy I work with he's a merchandiser for a company, and he works with me every once in a while, and he listens to Carolla as well.
Ooh.
And I got Blue Hard DVD copy like in the mail like maybe a year ago.
Yeah. And
I let him borrow that. He's had it for maybe 9 months now, and because he has to watch it.
So he broke your record.
Yeah. He's continuously kicking my record's ass right now.
Remember Carolla, he would always talk about how he goes, look, when people try to describe me, he goes, I'm not flattered by this, but I guess it works because people recognize me by this. But didn't he say, was it Jimmy Kimmel that said he looked like a retarded Pete Sampras?
Yeah.
Something like that. I can't remember who told him he looks like that. But I go, that's fairly accurate, I guess, you know. But
it's hilarious and true.
But it is one of those things though where like podcasts are radio shows. If you're listening to the same podcast or the same radio show, it's like a very intimate kind of thing where you actually feel like you're getting to know the people, and in some ways you actually do know them because they're talking about everyday normal things in their life, especially if it's a daily podcast, you know. So
yeah.
So when you said that you knew or you listened to Adam Carolla or vice versa, I said I listened to Adam Carolla, right there, I already know that if you're a fan, I know that you like his comedic style and the things he talks about. I know I could bring up stuff if you're a hardcore fan, which I later found out you were. You know, you could like, you know, cite stuff that I could bring up, and boom, just right there, you have that connection. It's kind of like when I meet a Stern fan. I ran into this guy at the bar one time, and he brought up something in code to Stern, and I go, oh my God. And he goes, oh, and like, we just like, and the guy's like, I want to buy you a shot. I'm like, I don't want a shot. And I did a shot.
And did he try to sleep with you?
No, he was there with a girl, but if she wasn't there, no, but what I'm here to talk about with you today is how we originally met and the place where you and I have the most stories from, which would be working together at a little company called Revana, doing sales for FedEx. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to tell you right now, right off the bat, Steve, Rich Falls is not going to like this episode.
What's up, Rich?
Rich is like, remember we'd always like make fun of Rich. We're like, why is he so die hard, like gung ho for this company? Like it's crazy.
I like is when you hammer me with updates before I got in, because you guys got in there obviously much earlier than I did.
Yeah.
But you would be like, Rich has already had a Coke and 2 chocolate muffins.
Yeah, it's not even lunch. It's not even like first break. It's like, all right.
An hour later, you'd be like, he just had another Coke.
Exactly. That's so great.
Every 45 minutes.
So Steve, help me out here. How would you describe the workplace environment at that company?
It would be like if, all right, now I'm just thinking out of this, out of left field, but so you can help me along with it.
Oh, I will, yeah.
Let's say if there was a petting zoo of humans just wandering around,
all different kinds of creatures, and it's easily the most insane place that I've ever seen. Like, and you look, there were normal people there. They're far and few in between, but yeah, there were normal people there. But geez, man, like I'm telling you, for a normal looking office environment style place, it was crazy. Like I wanted to talk about the craziness of this place and a lot of these stories. What year did you start working there? Do you remember what year you started there? It was like 2014 or 15 or something. It was one of those 2 years. I don't know.
Right after that, because I got married in 2014. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe it was 2000.
I think that's when I was there, because I did take time off or whatever to work there.
Gotcha.
And ice cream man's going by my house. Right
now. Awesome. He's like COVID on the cone. So in some of the stories that I'm going to bring up, they predate Steve Klunk, just because I'm trying to paint a picture of this like insane asylum that we worked at. And
well, they had a huge break room, like,
right,
big giant break room, and it really kind of just reminded me of like a prison common area.
Dude, it was like hilarious. Like people would go in there and just take food from other people's like lunch boxes and stuff, and then you'd see like all these notes, like giant printed out notes, like whoever keeps taking my sandwich, how about you not do that? And I'm like, I never put anything in that place because I would not eat anything out of that thing if I did that. I would bring my own cooler and put it in my truck. I'm like, screw this. I'm not using the communal refrigerator with all these weirdos and monsters and but so I started at the Facebook division of this place called Revana.
Oh, that's right. That's where you started the page.
Yeah, in 2012. That's when I started that page that we always talk about. But they moved me over to FedEx. I realized, I had 5 or 6 years of shipping experience under my belt, which, come to find out, that didn't make any difference.
Not there at all, yeah.
So what is Revana? What is the company in a nutshell? Help me describe what that company is, Steve.
It's a call center that they have pretty big clients. So they must have the best salespeople in the world that bullshit and swindle these companies.
Right. Yeah. So it's essentially
a contract level.
What it is, it's like a company that large corporate entities hire to either retain or strum up new business for larger revenue profits. And for the longest time, I would just think to myself, just like in meetings and stuff like that, or when they'd have the big floor meetings, I just look around and I'm like, am I the only normal human being in this place? Like, I have some other people that I'm like, I still talk to this day from that place, and I met some great people along the way. But boy, dude, I mean, when you got there, thank God you started doing the same thing that I did, because like you're very aware. Like, remember Carolla would always talk about that, being overly self-aware of things, and that's a curse for a lot of people, because I look around and I'm like, why is nobody else looking around like I'm looking around? Like, this is completely insane in here. You know what I mean? Like, you ever do that? You're like, what is going on? And everyone I'd just come up to you and I'm like, hey man, like, is it your break? You're like, no, but I'll go right now. And I'm like, okay. And you're like, you're like, your phone's dialing and you're just like, you set your headphones down, and then you're like, okay, let's go. And you would just like walk around and just look at all the weirdos. You're like, oh, look at all the weirdos in here.
We just go to the break room and like tell backstories of all the crazy people in there.
I remember I actually was writing down a list of like, I don't want to forget all this stuff. And Steve, I've prepped so long for this particular podcast because I didn't want to leave out stuff, but there's no way you could remember all this stuff. There's no way. It's impossible. This is nuts. And if people get bored with the stuff that we're going to be talking about here, I apologize, but this is between Steve and I. So you're just listening on to a conversation that we might be having on the phone or otherwise, or reminiscing about, the good old days. But also, when you got hired on, I was like, what? It's like a normal guy. What's wrong with him? There must be something wrong. There must be something fucking wrong. Normal dress, clean cut, seemed pretty quick, bright, funny guys, like joking around with everybody. Like, it was like, wow, he seems like way too happy to be working here. There's something way wrong here.
I can remember being super nervous in training class and wanting to do well and being like, gosh, it's going to be...
Isn't that cute? Isn't that
tough or something?
Is that amazing?
I'm just like... And like after a couple of side-by-sides, I'm like, these motherfuckers are crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure I can do whatever else.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus. Like Cher said, if I could turn back time, holy Jesus. It's just funny when we would have these moments. Every time there was like someone that was being hired or something like that. Oh, is that so here's the new class? Oh, weirdo, could be a weirdo, probably a weirdo. I don't know, and so on. But when we first started talking, we'd randomly bring up like skits and parodies from like Carolla. We keep talking about Carolla, but it's going to be coming up because that's a big thing between the two of us. But what are some of the classics? I remember I walk up to you and I'm like, oh God, there's that new That new theme song by for Mr. Spaz or Dr. Spaz.
Start belting it up.
Yeah, he was like, they call him Dr. Spaz. He'll stick a finger
in your ass.
That's so great. Oh God! And what was the who was the guy, the Rotten Tomatoes guy? What was it like? Atchity or whatever?
Atchity.
Yeah. It's so
they
stupid.
have a new song now because Atchity doesn't do Rotten Tomatoes anymore.
Right.
So
Oh.
they have a new dick thing. And Who is brilliant, by the way.
Oh, is it? Is it pretty good? And David Wild, he's not on the show anymore, is he?
Oh, that was my favorite one.
Yeah, well, I don't remember it. How did that one go?
This is a deep.
Well, we're living here in
next.
David Wild.
We're sitting here with David Wild. Not much taller than an 8-year-old child. Not the best looking guy in the place. Gallagher's hair, DeVito's face.
Yes, that's what it was. Oh God, that was so great. Whoever wrote that is fantastic. I'm sure he didn't like that, but it was great.
No, the opening lines are just massive digs.
So funny. God, it was so great. Yeah, they're like, welcome to the show.
Yeah, all right, Dave. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what you're doing?
How was that? Did you like that? It's like all just ripping on him.
The best with the Dr. Spaz. Brian would let him get started and then just cut him off.
Yeah, it was funny because I was looking up Adam Carolla clips and I came across that one and they're like, oh yeah, so what's new? And he's like, okay, well, studies have shown that, and he's like, din, 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 din. And he's like, he cuts him off. He lets him go for like 20 seconds. People will have no idea what we're talking about, but like I said, we're doing this for ourselves. So you know what's funny is I have text messages that I actually looked up in my phone all the way back. It had to be back to 2014 or something. And
holy shit,
dude! And if you're asking yourself, did I go back and look these up just to make sure that I'd get an accurate depiction or a description of these? Well, the answer is yes, I did. So the very first, and I'm gonna read some of these. So like, I just give me your reaction to these because they're pretty good. So the very first text message that was ever sent between us, and this was on July 3rd, 2014. So this is from me. Is this the Asian massage parlor? And Steve's like, $40, sucky sucky. And I'm like, that's hot. I'll think about it. And instead of saying like laugh out loud, you're like, well, figure it out because my appointments are filling up. So I thought that was pretty funny. That's the first exchange we had via text. So I'm like, this guy's awesome. I like this guy. I'm gonna keep this guy around. A little Adam Carolla banter. But so the next, and again, I'm not gonna read all of these, but there's some highlights that I'm gonna go through here. The next time we texted was a few days later, and I read, Steve, we're living in a pretty great time right now, but it's not the best. Do you know what era would be the best time to be alive?
Oh, yeah. That would be mid-coke, pre-AIDS.
That is correct. Another classic Adam Carolla line. People are like, this is probably the worst podcast I've ever heard.
They're just talking on another podcast.
This one's a good one because it involves our good old buddy Rich, who is what is he in episode? Was it 4?
Reach old.
He goes, I go, hey man, hey, can you snap a full body profile pic of Rich when he stands up again? My phone isn't quick enough. That's what I sent over to you, right? And I think I was trying to get a shot of Rich for that profile that I drew of him when he was like holding his hand in motion, and he always claimed that he's like, I don't do that. I don't hold my hand up like that. And your reply was pretty funny. You go, you're like, laugh my ass off. You're like, I'll try. He goes, and then after that, you're like, I can't do it. No one is here to collude with me, and I'll feel bad if he sees me. It's so awesome. I'm just entertaining myself over here. This will bring back memories for you. A great text reply of yours was when I was out of the office, and you sent over a message about not seeing my truck parked out front, and you go, sucks that you're not here. I do, however, love seeing the full-size van missing a giant back window. You remember that? You remember that van?
Yeah.
The tan van.
It was just there like 24 hours a day.
Yeah, just no window. It wasn't like it was just like, oh, it was someone had their window bashed out and it's going to take a couple days to get it fixed. Oh no, did it ever get fixed? Was it ever fixed? Ever?
Yeah.
It was ever like 6 months.
It wasn't like it was like hidden in the back or like away. It was like right by the front door. I just like every day I'd be walking in and just have that look. I'm like,
it's so ridiculous. But that place, I mean, we kind of painted a picture a little bit before. It's kind of like working at a mental hospital. And I don't think people remember, like people that worked with us. I don't think that even they remember how nutty this place was. They literally hired anyone and everyone at this place. And I'm talking like ex-cons, meth heads, registered sex offenders, crazy people, mentally challenged, like psychopaths. Like there's the teenagers right out of high school. There's elderly folks who just came out of retirement. Like there was like drug dealer heaven because, not only could they get a job there as a front, but then they would have their built-in customers. Yes. So, and if like,
this is booming.
Yeah. Jesus. So, I mean, if you were homeless, had a criminal record, were a current meth head, raging alcoholic, nope, didn't matter. You got a job here. You got a job here.
Down.
Did you ever hear about that one dude getting fired for having sex with one of the new hires in one of those private milking station rooms?
I didn't even know those existed.
People just disappear. You'd be like talking to somebody 1 second, and the next second they're gone. You're like, what happened here? Like, I remember, I remember this one time. This girl, I don't know what her name was, Shamikwa or something. I go,
what?
She just told me that her latest baby daddy spent 18 years in prison for aggravated assault, battery, kidnapping, attempted murder, and so on, at the age of 16, and then was tried as an adult, and Revana just hired him. I'm like, first off, why is this chick saying this all to me? Like, I felt like I was doing one of those crazy radio shows back in the day, so it was only inevitable that I would be doing one now. So it's just fucking crazy.
Oh,
are you walking around?
No, I'm stationary. I'm on the couch. I got Goonies on silent.
You got Goonies on. You got a beer.
I got a beer.
Got your dogs next to you.
Nope. Oh. My one dog is at my wife's parents' house, hanging out with her and
nice
whatever. And then my other dog, which is why this afternoon I had Doggy Day Care. He's away at obedience school.
Oh,
and
okay.
For almost a month, he's an asshole.
Oh no, buddy.
He's just he's like a sweet, loving. He's a black lab.
Yeah.
To me, but he's just extremely territorial. So we have this guy who's like 43rd and Thunderbird, but that's where he's been staying for the last few weeks. And then every week we go see him. And actually today the guy came to our house and we worked with him here.
Gotcha.
Pretty intense for the guy, but he's had deals with like he nipped. Do you remember Akiro, my buddy Akiro?
Yeah,
he's staying with us now because of the whole what's that coronavirus thing? Yeah, that whole thing. Anyways, he's been with us for a little while, but he has a little boy who's like 9, I think, and Max thought it'd be a good idea to bite his ankle. So
oh, great. He thought it'd be a good idea.
Yeah, he bit one of my buddies.
Now, how bad was the bite? You said it was a nip? Did he draw any blood?
He drew blood on this one. This is his first blood draw.
Oh.
He's bit a couple.
Jesus.
He's bit a couple asses in his life. He bit my buddy's ass.
Oh, my God.
My mother-in-law's friend's ass.
Jesus. Wow. Doggy Day Care.
Random. He's just like walking by and he's like, gives him a chomp.
Dang. He just walks away. He's like, that's all I got to say about that.
That's great.
Bite your ass. Jesus. But
I saw that happen in the break room at Revana, but it was
I wouldn't doubt it. I really wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, I remember you actually like leaning over to me. You're like, dude, I'm like making like way more money than I'm making at this place. And I only work there a couple days a week or something like that. You're like, it's ridiculous. And it was funny because like, it was the turning point for your kind of like give a shit factor about the place. You just started coming in later and later, and like they kept warning you to stop being late. And you would like come in and like it was so hilarious watching you walk in because you just go, hey, everybody, you like wave to the entire, like there were like, how many people were in that fucking place? Like 50 people. You're like, hey, everyone. And then you go sit down and people are like, and then the supervisor kind of like, they're just like rolling their eyes and they're like, oh, God. And then, cause like at that point you're like, look, if they let me go, it's, it's literally their loss because they need dialers and they need good people. And you're one of the good people. And, cause it's a revolving door of just freaking idiots and weirdos at this place. So what do you think the turnaround of that place was? I think we joked about this at one point. It was like 150%. They're always like nonstop. Right. They nonstop had just giant classes of people like always in training. Like, is there ever not a training class? They're like, we have to keep training them. People keep quitting. Even the supervisors there were like interesting characters. Who was your, you're just laughing at this. Who was your favorite supervisor at that place?
Would I have to have one?
Yes.
Maybe the only normal one was Richard.
Saying that Rich is normal is a stretch, but that is the correct answer. Rich Falls is the correct answer because he's a genuinely nice guy. I mean, he hates everything, but he's a nice guy, very even keeled. But anyway, I'm just glad that you didn't say hanging with Mr. Koopa. You remember that guy?
Oh my God! That guy was.
He's like this corny. Like how do you even describe this guy? Like he kind of looked like Sinbad, like in a way, in a weird, like but a goofier Sinbad, which is funny saying.
The purple hammer pants.
Yeah. Total just goof, and he'd always try to motivate everybody. Remember what his motivational go-to line was?
Oh yeah, 120, 120.
120, 120.
Yeah, that guy was a goof. You know what reminds me of him is, I don't know if you remember this story, but somehow we had that one row into a murderer's row of just me, you,
that was the greatest time ever.
Josh,
Zeke.
There was all of us, like within like 9 deaths of each other.
So great. I was like,
a murder
every day we'd walk in there like, I cannot believe they put all of us assholes in the same row. And it was like
a while to figure it out too. They were like, man.
Yeah. Because they did like randomly picked out, but it just happened to be like we won the lotto on, sitting next to all the best people in the office.
Yeah. Okay, but I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
So we worked technically for FedEx.
Yes.
Obviously a huge company. They had the bigwigs were in town that flown in from Memphis, right?
Yes.
And they were there and they were addressing the whole center. And so they had everyone, off the phone. Yeah,
so like remember how they would prep this? They would send out emails. Everybody had to have their desks all exactly the same. Everybody had to dress up. Like we need you to wear. Hey, look, you can wear a tie. We're not expecting you to wear a tie, but you need to wear slacks, dress shoes, blah blah. It's like Jesus. Like this must be some serious event. And like so everything was like very serious because like these are the guys that are. Yeah. These are the guys in the end that are writing the bill.
Fucking thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I know where you're going.
The main guy, our guys talking, whoever the head of our center was. The little guy. I don't know. Looks like young Lou Holt.
You're okay. You're talking about Doug, right?
Yeah. So our main guy,
young Lou Holt,
said he would never.
Young Lou Holt.
But he was there that day, obviously, because he's entertaining these clowns. But they're a big deal, and he's in mid-speech everyone's quiet. No one's on a call. Everyone's sitting there paying attention. And we're not that far away from them. And I remember Mr. Cooper was sitting on a stool pretty close to where Doug was, and then the big wigs were on the other side of him. And Akira decided to just blast a huge fart. Not just like a, you know, it was like
I remember that. And I was like, and you started cracking up, and you turned your head and you're like, oh my God.
I'm dying because Mr. Cooper's like eyes are like the mask, you know, and his jaw drops to the ground, his eyes are popping out of his head. He's just staring right at me. And I'm thinking, he thinks I did it. And I'm laughing even harder. I'm just like,
dude, that
and
fucking
I look over at Akira because I'm thinking, this motherfucker's got to be laughing too. And he just has his head down, you know, and you can just see his stomach shaking because he's like laughing, but he's like making no sound.
Dude, that was awesome.
Eyes closed. And I looked over at you. You were solid as an oak, buddy.
Oh yeah, no.
You were just like, whoa.
Dude, because look, I didn't want to get in trouble.
And you know what made me even fucking laugh even harder? It was like when it was kind of dying down, it was still funny as hell. And I'm like, I can't believe that just happened. And then I don't remember her name, but she was a heavy set woman of color that was sitting behind us in the other row. And you just hear her. And I started all over again, and I was like, oh God, they definitely think I did this now.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, everyone thought you did it. And you're like, no, I didn't actually do it. It wasn't me.
Like the best explanation from Akira was he didn't know it was going to be that loud.
No.
But you still wanted to rip ass.
And great timing, by the way, in front of all the bigwigs. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it could have been any other time.
The give a shit factor was not just exclusive to, the not give a shit factor was not just us either. I mean, so many people took advantage of that place. Like, I remember this one time you sent me a message, because remember they would send out these, they would send out those reports about how many dials we had during the day. And I remember this one time you sent me a message. You're like, because we were supposed to get, what were we supposed to get? We were supposed to get like 120 a day or something like that, right? So
80 or something. But
this guy Louis, you go, Louis has 100 dials by 8:30. Seems legit. It's so ridiculous too, because you could just call someone and hang up on them right when they're answering, and it would count as a dial. And I was just like,
he did it. He did it for like 2 hours, and then he'd just sit in his chair the rest of the day.
There were so many people that would just work that place, because it's like, Jesus, man. And if they got like audited or talked to, it's just like, okay, well, here's my wrist. Slap my.
I thought the funniest thing was when you guys started, because it was great, because I had that restaurant convinced that I had a day job, like a legit day job, right? And I had them convinced that, you know, I was religious and I couldn't work weekends.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I would get all the optimum, you know, night shifts, and I'd go there and just crush it. And I'd work maybe 4 shifts a week. And, you know, when at that point, because like I really didn't want to, you know, lose my job and have my wife be like, yeah, way to go, dipshit, you don't have a job. So I was like, so I got the other job, and I was like, oh, man, perfect. Then I started making way more money at that job.
Oh yeah.
And the give a shit factor just went straight downhill. But I loved when you guys started betting pools of what time I was going to show up.
Oh, dude, I found that actual slip, or that piece of paper that we actually took all the bets on and everything. And you would actually come in, like, it would range from like, I don't know, 9:30 to 11:30. Sometimes you wouldn't even come in. You're like, I'm not even coming in today. But yeah. And it was great, because like we all started laughing. Remember, like we always laugh at you when you'd walk in, because you'd be like, hey everyone, I'm here. And like, holy shit, he decided to show up today. And like, you just wave at everybody, and like, you know, everyone's like working, and you know, only a couple of us are looking up at the door, you know, as you're showing up, because, you know, we're trying to work.
Yeah.
But I used to love that because I think I won that pool, by the way. I won that.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. You guys would do it in like little 15-minute increments, and then and you'd post it online. I won the pool. Like there's
so
like
awesome.
9 different people betting on it, and you're like, yeah. Or I'd come in and someone would cheer. Someone would be fired up, like, yeah. 10:30. He tried to show up at 10:30.
We always had to try. You had to mix it up. You had to have a little fun, in that place because it was. They tried to do fun things like give out, their awesome prizes. Remember those prizes they give away?
I do.
I remember what was the one that I laughed about like the hardest? It was like what was that? It was
an old like shitty camera.
Oh yeah, it was like from 2006 or something like that. It was like this camera. It was like my junky phone has like 3 times as much pixels as this thing. And I'm sure this is top of the line back in 2006. Where'd you get this? Where'd you get this camera and why is it being given out?
Where the hell did you find that?
One of the most entertaining things that I remember from that place was the HR chick and when she'd come in and speak to us. You remember that chick?
Oh, smoking hot chick?
Yeah, Bethany. Maybe I shouldn't be saying her name. But anyway, this chick, she looked like a human Barbie doll. It's like she was like going clubbing in Scottsdale, like or something. She would be like short skirts, super high heels, cleavage, and we'd all like laugh at each other because like she'd come in and talk to us on how to be appropriate at work and what's not appropriate for the workplace. And again, I'd be looking around. I'm like, what is anybody else like finding this like really funny or? Nope. Okay. All right. Okay. This is not.
Is this an episode of The Office?
Yeah,
like,
totally. Yeah. I guess I felt like Jim. I felt like Jim always doing the like looking at the camera, but there's no camera to look at. I'd be looking at the camera like.
You'd be looking at me. I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But did you ever have to go into her office? Did she ever have to have a talk with you?
Oh, they did. Well, I didn't go into their office, but it was Mr. Koopa.
Oh yeah.
Our buddy Rich Falls and her. Who gave me the old ass.
Oh, I wanted to get to that. Yeah, you gotta give me some details on that because that was after you habitually showing up late over and over and over. And like, how many warnings did they give you? I mean, there must have been 5-10 warnings. Like, how do you even get that many warnings before you get fired? Again, you had them by the balls. They didn't have you by the balls. You could give a shit about your job at that point. And I think everybody could pretty much tell. I think everybody pretty much tell.
When I started making it very evident, I figured it was coming down the pipeline.
I have a text here that was from you. And you said, this is no joke. This is it brings us right to this spot. It says, I was just texting Mr. Koopa and telling him that I wasn't coming in. And he was telling me that I needed a doctor's note to come back into work. And you told him, it's not going to happen because I don't go to the doctor. and then I go, fuck that. I go, so did you quit? And you're like, no, I'm just going to go back to work tomorrow with no note. What the F? There are people who miss that all the time and nothing happens. So no joke, like you... You come in, you sit down and just log in like nothing happened. and then I see you like they come up and they take you into the conference room and that is where you can like pick up from there. Cause like I don't know anything that happened in that room, but I mean I have text messages after the fact, but I don't
It was a lot of the HR lady talking because they're just probably trying to cover themselves, which that's what companies have to do because they probably deal with people fucking doing them for anything, and then, they don't recognize me any different than any employee because they just have to cross their T's and dot their.
Yeah, you're one of 100 employees that they're firing that week.
Right. So I know they're just running me through all the hoops. And there's a lot of the hot chick with pasties on doing a lot of the talking. But I do remember one thing about it. Rich Paul never looked at me once.
You said no. That's one thing that I remember you saying. You're like, I never stopped looking at Rich. I stared at him the entire time. He did not look up once. Not once did he look up at me.
Right into the table. He was just, oh.
Because Rich was like pretty cool with us. He'd come over and talk sports. Yeah. He's like, hey, Steve, how'd you like that Notre Dame game? He's like cool. He'd like talk sports and everything. Yeah. But your description of that was just like so funny. Like me picturing that, I can draw that in my head, that image of like, because I could see Rich just not wanting to look up at you. Yeah, so funny, man.
That's exactly what it was. And Mr. Koopa might have said a few things, but it was it was mostly the stricter aspect.
So after they let you go, you walked out the door, and I sent a text message over to you saying, "Excited to see you tomorrow, buddy." And you and you're like, "I should just show up when you do, let you badge me in, go sit down and start working." And I started laughing so hard, dude. It's like George Costanza on Seinfeld.
The Pinsky file.
Or you just bring out like a plastic bag and start collecting like trash out of the trash cans and like it'd be so freaking funny. Oh god, it'd be awesome.
People would frequently do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What you remember Vigo? Remember the guy from Ghostbusters Part 2? Remember that guy, Vigo?
Oh, yeah.
You used to point him out all the time.
We had to look up what his name was.
Yeah, you're like, he looks like that guy, that villain in Ghostbusters 2, and I'm like, I don't even fucking remember. I don't even know what you're talking about. You're like, oh my god, he does. You're like, yeah, Vigo. Vigo.
Vigo was storming around the halls of Revana.
Oh god, that place is wild, man. Do you remember Adam Carolla when he had like Frank Stallone on and they played that song? And that became like the theme song between you and I, which was it's Far From Over or whatever. And it was like so hilarious. And this one time I go into the bathroom, and one thing I could give Revana is they had a fantastic bathroom in there.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
They had those big, giant, tall walls with it went all the way down to the bottom. Like that rarely happens, right?
Actual doors. Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
They didn't want Vigo peeking underneath.
Yeah. So this song that we had, if you're not familiar with it, I wish I could play it, but you're just gonna have to look it up. Far From Over, Frank Stallone. It's like Sylvester's little brother. Anyway, so, but I'm like, I just remember you started referring to having to take a dump by going up to me and you're like, hey man, I'll be right back. If they ask where I am, I'm taking a Revana. And I'm like, oh. You started referring to taking a dump as going to take a Revana. So that made me laugh. But then this one time I didn't even, you must have just gone in there. I didn't even know you were in there. And I don't know how you even knew that I was coming in. I don't know if there's a camera that you had like punched into or something like that. I'm just going to go to take a leak. And I walk in, the door closes behind me, and all of a sudden, and I'm like, what the? And then I just hear you laughing from inside the stall. And dude, I was like laughing so hard, I almost like pissed all over myself. Place is great.
I remember that. I think I had a whole, because I had downloaded a soundboard app because I love all Brian's drops on Adam Carolla when he just boom drops one. And I had a page of just Revana stuff because that'll be the only time I really mess with it at.
But the real mystery is, how did you know that I was walking in that door?
I fucking don't know.
You were just gonna play it no matter what, anyways. You're like, hey, look, you know what?
Next person in, guess what they're gonna hear?
That's so great. It's so ridiculous.
Josh, I've been trying that for a month.
It finally paid off. Finally. Oh God. It was so great. But, you know, hey, speaking of the Revana FedEx bathroom, people passed out drunk in that place. I think this is before you. There was this one guy, I swear to God, this is like a true story. There's this one guy that started when I started. Like, it was in my training class. And I knew there was something wrong with this guy because at the end of training, he started crying. And it was like, you know, kind of like the graduation, you know, the bullshit graduation they do when they buy pizzas and stuff. And they're like, hey, congratulations, everybody. It's bullshit graduation today. And everyone's like, yeah, woo. Everyone's like really excited. And again, it's one of those times where I'm looking around going, what the fuck? Like, is everybody really like, what? Okay. But anyway, this guy starts crying and we're like, everyone's like kind of stops. Like, you know, they're like midway through like eating a bite of pizza. And they're like, everyone stops. And this guy's like, I just want to say that I am very happy. You guys give me a chance. And everyone's like, what the fuck? What the fuck happened to this guy? And like, but he was like this Colombian guy. And this one day, like, you know, out on the floor, we had been on the, I don't know, probably out on the floor now for about, you know, I don't know, a month. And he was okay. He was pretty decent worker. But this one day, he comes up to me and he's like, I used to have I'm doing a horrible accent. I don't even know what accent I'm doing, but he's like, I used to have a bad drug problem. And he goes, but I love this place. And I'm like, yeah, it's great place. But like an hour after he was telling me the story, and it was like, it was kind of odd that he was like telling me the story about how you have a like drug problem and everything. Apparently, he had gone into the bathroom, into the handicap one, the one that had the little space at the bottom. And he was in there for like 45 minutes. Everyone was like, where'd whatever his name, wonder where he went. And then he became one of those guys that I never saw again. Because he went into the bathroom. I guess he was drunk. He went into the bathroom, passed out, sat down on the ground, like passed out drunk in the bathroom. And they had to crawl like under the bathroom door or knock it down. I don't know. And then they cleared his shit out and fucking escorted, like dragged him out and like just probably threw him out on the curb. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, wish I could say that was a one-time only story at that place. Seems...
It's not.
You're like, yeah, it sounds like a Tuesday. Yeah, so I don't know. It's funny. Like, you remember that crackhead guy that was like, he had a limp and he was like a really angry guy. Literally, like the people talking about how he would do crack out in the parking lot. And I'm like, there's a guy that's doing crack out in the parking lot? I'm like, what? I go, all right. How do you guys know he's doing crack out there? They're like, hey, he's literally doing crack right in his car. I'm like, okay.
I sold it to him.
Yeah, exactly. I sold it to him and he went straight to his car. No, but it's funny because like I remember this one time, I think there was like this one guy. He's like a really short guy. I can't remember his name. Super nice guy. One of the normal guys. One of the 5 normal guys in that place. And he was like pizza day, and like he's coming back with a thing of pizza, and the guy comes out and he'd like stare people down in the hallway, and he would like he'd be like one of those things where like if you're walking in a hallway, everyone tries to like move over a little bit, to let people go. No, he's one of those guys that would walk right in the middle. Like right in the middle and like fucking cool. Like, and he would stare you down like, and I'm like, what is this? I just hate
the yard. What are we doing?
Yeah. What is this? Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that brings me to the next guy. The actual, I know you remember this guy. I'm not going to say his name, but he's like a Raider fan, mean looking. I think he was an ex gang member.
Oh, cool.
And super cool with me, which is thank God. But the stories this guy they sat him next to me. I started getting to know him, of course, like, it's more interesting to talk to this guy than it is like to talk to the people on the phone, obviously. So we're just going to like shoot the shit, I'm going to have a crazy radio show over here. And this dude was like telling me this one time about like how he was like, I mean, his stories were insane. If I still like talk to this guy, I'd probably have him on have to have him on the show. Like, but it'd be kind of like scary to have him on the show. But anyway, he was like saying like
remote, like we're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. Dude, like he said he was like 13 years old or something like that. And he was like playing like Russian roulette with like, his like relatives and stuff like that. As we all do. Yeah.
The old family gathering. We call that Thanksgiving.
And he said it got to his cousin, and his cousin pulls the trigger, literally blows his brains out all over the wall in back of him. And and yeah, it's kind of like have you seen what's that Tiger King? Have you seen that documentary? They always had these cameras running, and there was this part where like this guy he blows his head off right in front of this other guy, and this other guy's like stops, and he just kind of like his mouth's open, and he's just staring at the what he just saw, and he's just like staring there, and like that was exactly what he was describing to me when he saw this. Like, can you imagine getting like watching your cousin like literally blow his brains up on the side of the wall, like crazy, right?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
And then one time I was bringing up like Snoop Dogg, and I was like, oh yeah, Snoop Dogg. Who doesn't love Snoop Dogg? And he gets really serious and looks at me. He goes, you talking about Calvin, that fucking bitch, that little bitch? And I go, oh, what? I'm like, he goes, I don't call him Snoop, that bitch ass N-word. And I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, whoa, I'm sorry. I'm like, is he gonna beat me up for liking Snoop, or what's going on here? And he's like, I grew up with him. He's a fraud. And I'm like, okay, well, he seems to be doing pretty well. Okay, all right. Then he talked about going to prison, and I was like, oh shit, you went to prison? Not that was like, really shocking or anything like that. But he was like talking about when he's going to prison, he was like freaked out until he discovered, and these are his words, they're not mine, until he discovered that half of his family was in there, and that everything was going to be cool. So,
the other half that didn't blow their brains out.
Yeah.
Every Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah. So these are the kind of stories that I'd hear at this place, and you're just
if I played Russian roulette, I'm not saying I would, but I would prefer not to do it with my family.
Oh yeah.
Like one of us is going to die. I prefer maybe a circle of 5 strangers.
Look, man, you just don't know how to have fun, man. You don't know how to have fun. Jesus. Holy moly. Wow. Just to lighten things up a little bit. Remember when they had they'd always have occasional bed bug scares at that place? At Revana?
That just lightened it up. Yeah, I remember that. We'd go like to someone's desk would be quarantined. You just have plastic all over the chairs and shit.
Steve,
like,
I remember.
What happened here? A murder?
Dude,
no, bed bug.
I would remember. I'd be sitting there because I'd always be like the super early shift. So I'd be sitting there, and all of a sudden I'd be like, your peripheral vision, you'd be like sitting there, and I'd be like, what was that? Was that a dog that just walked by me? And this dog is like walking by, like smelling all the like the stations and all the different like desks and everything. I'm like, what? There's a dog over there. And I'm like, yeah, don't talk to the dog. And I go, okay, what's going on? What is there? Yeah, is there like a murder scene? What's going on in here? Yeah, so
it was like a damn secret.
Jesus Christ. And then after that, what the result was taking away everybody's garbage cans. That worked out well.
Oh yeah. I remember that. People were starting to tape bags to the side of their desk.
They would, yeah, like, talk about your all-time backfires. So, like, everyone would, like, nobody would eat in the actual designated break room or lunch room. Everyone would bring giant meals of breakfast and lunch, sometimes dinner, because they would offer, like, 12-hour shifts and stuff like that. And everybody would eat at their desk. And... yeah. And then there would just be piles of just food. And like, we think that there might be a bug problem that is coming from all the food that's... So they took everybody's garbage cans away like we were like little children, which most of the people kind of are.
I do. Yeah.
And then everybody, like you said, they would like, just tape up a Fry's grocery sack of like a plastic sack that they got from, buying garbage at the... at the grocery store. I wonder if everyone was just like, because like there was a lot of people passing out. There's like all these pictures of everybody would always like send pictures to each other. Hey, look at guy passed out today. He was passed out for 20 minutes. Not one word was said to him. 20 minutes. Let's see if that record could be beat.
At work, like just on his.
Oh yeah, dude! I found a picture that you posted of 2 different people separately passed out. You took it.
Oh, one of them was in a meeting, in a separate meeting.
Can you imagine? You're in a meeting. You're in a meeting with like. with like supervisors and
your
your
boss, and he's like addressing you. Yeah, that was. I remember sending those because I was like, "What the fuck? Josh is gonna love this. This is amazing. You can't make this up."
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah. Thank you, by the way. But I just remember, like, I'm wondering now, looking back, was everybody just drunk? Because it could have been that people were just passed out, like just literally just passed out from being drunk. I know that there's some people that would go to that Mexican restaurant down the street, and they're like, they just go there for like an hour and a half, like just drinking, straight up drinking, coming back, boozing up, passing out, work. Places just
we got a meeting. I'll just be passed out.
Yeah, yeah. We had that private, that text group, and that's I think that's where I found that picture that you sent in there. But
we used to do it in the little messages. I was cracking up one day when we were just going back and forth, pictures on pictures on pictures.
So great.
That was a funny day. Yeah, HR's was looking at all of it.
So friggin' amazing. So it wasn't all bad times at FedEx, at Revana, FedEx, whatever the hell you want to call it. We got to go golfing. You talked me into going golfing that one time at that super nice golf course for like $20. You're like, you got to do it. It's like $20. It's like crazy. And
that was fantastic.
They give out prizes and they buy your lunch. You got to do this. And I'm like, fuck, it's all right. It's with you. I'm in. Didn't they give us a golf court and shit too? Or it's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. We got free lunch. I think I won a dozen golf balls. Like, it was me, you, Akira, and Josh. And let me tell you, like, it's a bad sign if I'm the best golfer in the scramble team. But if I'm the best golfer by far in that scramble team,
you were like Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Oh man!
Oh my god!
I had golfed like 3 times.
They said bogey. You can't get more than a bogey. I was like, okay, I'll take that.
It's awesome.
Pencil spoon for some bogeys, and we might get a par. I don't know.
So great.
That was fun. We were just reading. You had brought a flash. I think I had brought one.
Yeah, we like every hole we'd be like, all right, time to do some drinking. And I'm like, oh yeah, it is. You're like, okay, it's it's 8:30, but yeah, I'm down.
It's the only way that's going to make the scholar.
So great. Yeah, I remember.
Picture people like they were our biggest fans. They fucking loved our group.
Yeah,
our group was pretty popular.
Yeah,
not very good.
That is true. Yes,
but we were popular.
That is 100% factual. Yes. Didn't we ditch out early one time to go watch the World Cup soccer game? I think that's another one you talked me into because I'm not a huge soccer guy.
I tricked you into that. Oh, he went to Padre Murphy.
Yes. You remember going to bars?
Gosh, I want to try to think of the last bar I went to. You know what, though? Right before it all hit, my wife and I went and she likes to go to like places like, I think we went to Outback Steak.
Yeah.
And then that very next day, they shut it all down.
Oh. Uh-oh.
We split the bill, right? She paid with her card and I paid with my card, and she made us both tip $50.
$50 each?
Whoever the chick was got $100.
Holy shit. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, she's like, pay it forward, lady. And
right?
There's a lady I work with, and she goes, your wife's a lot better person than you. And I'm like, you know what? I say that all the time.
Oh, I think you're a pretty good guy, buddy. Oh, you're like,
yeah.
You know what I did love? That one time we were at your bachelor party. At some resort in Phoenix. I don't know where that. I don't know what it was, but
Arizona Grand Resort.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah. Okay.
It used to be called something else. I don't know.
You've got to talk a little bit about how crazy this was. Like, didn't your buddy end up going to jail or something? What the fuck? What?
My best man. Yeah.
How did he end up in jail? Like, you guys were too drunk to even explain to me. Like, I just remember he kept going, I was in jail a couple hours ago. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, what is going on? And you guys were so incoherent because you were so drunk and I got there late. I was like, what is going on? Oh, you're like, we've been drinking all day. And I'm like, oh my God, I could hardly tell.
So my thing was, I was like, I want to go golfing 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
Right. So we went at that place earlier on that Friday, and then you came Saturday evening.
Okay.
We had already went golfing at like some place far as fuck, but only 4 of us made it to that because it was Sans him, Sans my cousin, who was passed out in another room. But all we had known was because one of our buddies was with my buddy, and they had gotten pulled over, and he got arrested, and he was in jail. And then while we were golfing at this other place, my cousin's room was just like next to the pool and just had a sliding door, and he just came walking in like 10 a.m.
I didn't understand. I was like, if you're in jail in Arizona for drinking and driving,
still don't quite know, but yeah, he somehow. Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of it, so if I explain it, I just I don't know. But I know he got arrested that night, and I know he disappeared for a nice solid 12-hour period. So
12 hours?
He didn't call Better Call Saul. I just don't know how do you even get in and out of a jail?
That's what I kept, I clearly couldn't get an answer because he just kept saying, I was in jail a couple hours ago, in jail. And I'm like, can you explain this? Like, I don't know.
How did you get out?
And then your dad shows up. You're like, my dad's on his way. And I go, whoa, your dad? I go, this is awesome. So then your dad shows up, and I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. And he's like, yeah, you know Steve? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, he used to live inside my nutsack. And I go, what? And he's like, I kept him warm. And I'm like, it took me a second to compute in my head. I'm like, this isn't usually a first thing that someone says to somebody. And then I just started laughing my ass off because he kept kind of like staring at me like, yeah, I'll wait for it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I dude, it was hilarious. I was like, dude, this guy's,
I guess.
This is definitely Steve's dad right here. I was like, wow, that was awesome.
Oh.
So, do they still make Mangria? Adam Carolla?
Yeah.
He does?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you remember the first time you had Mangria? I remember the first time I had Mangria.
Probably when we went to Total Wine.
Is that really the first time you had it?
I think that's the first time I bought one, and I mean,
it was hard to find at first. Remember, we couldn't find it. We're like, what? How can we can't find this stuff?
Only get it at Total Wine and whatever it was.
Yeah, so basically Mangria with this, it's called Mangria. It's kind of like his own twist on sangria, with a more alcohol content essentially. And I remember the first time I drank this stuff, I was sitting at the computer playing music or something, and this girl I was with at the time, she calls me over into the other room, and I just remember I get up to get off the chair, and I fell right to the ground. I was like, holy crap. Wow, that's strong. Wow. And she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, dude, I literally just fell on the ground. What are you talking about? I'm like, it's this Mangria. So I was like, that was a kind of a fun story. I was like, yeah, that stuff is strong, man. It's like,
dude, that stuff got a kick like crazy. Because I remember my brother, he's not a big Adam Carolla fan, but he went with me to that thing too. So he bought a bottle, I bought a bottle, and afterwards we went and we were just like chipping and putting like at a golf course, and we had both downed a bottle.
Jesus.
He ended up.
Oh man.
He passed out like on the side of the like chipping green, and I had to like get him up.
Wow.
And take him home. Like I was like, okie dokie, we're out of here.
Dang. Yeah, that stuff is strong, man. You know, one of my favorite things about just going back, we're gonna go right back to the Adam Carolla. We're gonna start with the Adam Carolla. We're gonna end with the Adam Carolla. We're just gonna do a hard out. Steve, what do you like better, cake or pie?
I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of either, but
what does Adam like better?
And I like the pies that Adam says aren't pies. Like a chocolate pie. I'm like,
yeah,
it's just pudding in a crust. I'm like, yeah, it's great about it. But, so, if you put that one up against a strong chocolate cake, I could probably go either way.
Right. I love how he like breaks it down. Like he's so serious about breaking it down. I just always love that.
Yeah. Pies are the biggest thing in the world. But,
right.
Cobbler, who cares?
Well, that's what I love too, is like how he is so strongly opinionated about certain things, like his tastes in music. Like I could listen.
Even if he's like terribly wrong, he's been staunchly saying the same thing for 10 years.
Oh yeah.
The Beastie Boys are piles of shit.
He hates the Beastie Boys. Like,
you know what the crazy thing is that no one's ever brought up to him that they were initially a punk band.
Right. Or like they do like musical, like classical songs. And I'm like, dude, why does nobody play those songs for him?
Some of those instrumentals in between like Unlicensed or
Sambrosa or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I played that for my dad, and I didn't tell him who it was. And I go, Dad, you got to hear this song. And he goes, he literally has it on some of his playlists now. Like he loves that song.
He's just so ill-informed. And then when they had that one time where they tried to inform him.
And they tried to play a rap song
that Bald Brian brought to him was just horseshit.
I was so disappointed with Bald.
Paul Revere, Bald.
I was so disappointed with Bald Brian on that one. That was not good. You really missed it on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And he always talks about how he always tries to justify. Look, he goes, everyone loves the music from that they were in high school and they listen to their music in high school. And I'm like, but the music that he loves is the music that he was in high school. Like John Hyatt and who's the other one? Graham Parker. Isn't that right? Yeah. So I don't know. Whatever. That was like their peak, like back in late 70s, early 80s.
Clearly it's not now.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, look, when I was in high school, grunge and, hip hop were big, when I was in high school, like Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and like, so I don't know. How do you feel about Nirvana and Pearl Jam? How do you feel about them?
Huge Pearl Jam fan, pretty big Nirvana fan. Probably not as much as most people.
Yeah.
Big time into Pearl Jam.
Back in the day, I liked Alice. They were of the four, they were my big ones. I loved Alice in Chains. Yeah, they were my favorite.
My brother Chris is a big Alice in Chains fan.
Really?
But I never, for whatever reason, I didn't ever delve into the Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
I want to throw this out.
Yeah, go ahead. Do it.
When we were at Total Wine, it was a line wrapped around the building, and so I guess 2014, so it might have been less than a show. Obviously all his older stuff, but his pod for, a few years. And so I remember waiting in line, and my brother and I had a couple of drinks a lot earlier in the day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even.
What the hell? That was in the morning.
Yeah, it was like.
You guys were drinking in the morning for that Adam Carolla thing?
Yeah. Just so you know.
That's great.
And I remember waiting in line, and then I kind of got lost in conversation with him and people in front of me who behind me and blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of like, because before that, I was kind of thinking, oh, yeah, what am I going to say to him? I want to be prepared.
Right.
I don't want to be a jackass and just be all tongue-tied and weird. And I just got into conversation. Boom, I was next in line. Walk up, and I don't know if it was him or Mike August that asked me, you guys going to the show tonight? Because they were doing a live show.
Right.
At one of the comedy stores or whatever. And I was drawing a blank. I tried to think of something witty, had nothing. But I basically was like, I wanted to be like, no, why the fuck would I do that? Because I could just listen to it for free. But I got a blank, and I go, no. And Adam's looking at me. And it's like ... And he just looks at me and he goes, you'll be missed. I thought it was hilarious. It was like funny that
you'll be missed. You'll be missed at the show.
The audience
it's going to be 5,000 fans there. You'll be missed. Yeah. You'll be missed, Steve Klunk.
Missed, buddy.
That's great. See, I love that you tell that story because like I love hearing stories about friends and all the different stories. Like me, you, and Lee, we'd be on this like text thread about like Adam Carolla and stuff like that because we were the ones that always listened to him, right? So we'd always talk about like stuff that would happen on Carolla, and some of the best stories ever involved his friends from back in the day, like Ray. Remember, like Ray's stories are fantastic. He was like this big guy. And like, what's your favorite Ray story? I know my favorite Ray story. It's not even close. My favorite Ray story is not even close. Do you have a favorite? What's a story that he has told from Ray that like stood out to you? You don't have to go into the whole thing or anything, but like just a Ray story.
Ray keystering water from
that's
a jacuzzi jet, and then they go and try to blast it into a Jack in the Box window.
Yes. They found out like you could like put. You could. He leaned.
He has to be sitting there like holding it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like just walking with his like knees together towards the car, and then they walk up to. It's so great. It's so ridiculous. Yeah. So he fills up his ass essentially with water, and then he holds it in his butt. And they drive through the Jack in a Box, and they order food. And then once they open the window, they scoot up, and Ray's ass goes out the window and sprays the water into the face of the person, like the poor person, like that's giving them the food. Who does this?
That's insane.
That's complete insanity.
Like, people were like, I think one of the whoever the news person was at the time, or even Bald might have asked him, like, what did that guy say or do?
Yeah, right? They're like, I don't know. We fucking took off.
Nothing, because like how do you even have a reaction to that? You're just like, what the
right.
fuck just happened?
Yeah, that was nuts, dude. Yeah. Jesus. Well, we could talk about Adam Carolla all day. Look, people are listening to this. We're like, we don't even know who Adam Carolla is. From what we've gathered, he's a retarded Pete Sampras or something. I don't know. I don't know, but.
Disgusting friend?
Yeah, what is this? No, but
apparently he's popular.
But Steve, we're gonna have to see you one of these days in person. You know, this kind of put a damper in our actual reunion here. I'm glad we can actually get you hooked up to talk to you on the phone. But yeah, we're gonna have to do this in person. What do you think?
Oh man, absolutely, definitely. Whenever they lift this, I don't know. We could go do a live show at a bar.
Oh yeah. Anyway, buddy. Well, hey, I'm glad we were able to connect. Thank you again for coming on the show. It's been too long, but next time we're gonna have to we're gonna do this in person.
I agree. Hey, thanks for having me. It was fun, unless I listened to it and you've finagled it into certain ways and to make me sound like more of an asshole than I actually am.
I'm gonna edit you just to make you sound like such a dick.
I just want to see all kinds of bad reviews. That pile of crap you've had on.
All right, Steve. Well, I'm looking forward to some more Snapchat dog pooping photos from you. Some more stories about your wife yelling at you, or I don't know.
It's probably coming later. I'll let her know. I'll make up her dog bed really nice.
Fantastic. Thanks again, man. Have a great one.
All right, you too.
Talk to you later.
All right, see you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends podcast. If you have any questions or comments about today's show, feel free to leave a message in the comment section below. If you enjoyed listening to the podcast, please share away. And make sure you give me a like or a good review. I can always use the help. I'm Josh, and thank you for being a friend.